Politihoot! And now, from a lonely little corner of the Bronx.
Let's talk about one of the most consequential, uncomfortable, and strangely codependent relationship in modern global politics. The Trump-Netanyahu bromance, or as it is also known, two men staring into a mirror and falling in love with themselves at the same time. While each other pulls the mirror up to the other and says, "No, darling, no, a little to your left. That's your good side." This is a political bromance built on ego, fear, transactional loyalty, and a shared belief that rules are for other people, specifically poor people, dead people, and people without lobbyists. And yes, it has very real, very deadly consequences. So let's walk through it slowly, carefully, with jokes. Because if we don't laugh, we're just screaming into a void that has nukes. First, the origin story. Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu did not fall into each other's arms by accident. This was not a meet cute. This was a corporate merger between two egos that were both too big to fail. They are politically made for each other, like a lock and a key. If the lock is paranoia and the key is a permanent grievance complex, both men sell themselves as strongmen while constantly complaining that everyone is treating them so unfairly, which is an impressive trick because nothing says alpha male like whining nonstop. Both are deeply invested in the idea that any criticism is not just wrong, it is treasonous, or anti-Semitic, or a witch hunt, or somehow all three at once, which, in Trump's case, is a logical feat not befitting of someone who, as his former professor at Wharton at the University of Pennsylvania, William T. Kelly, referred to him as the dumbest goddamn student I have ever had, with another professor, Eric Orts, reportedly calling him the worst admissions mistake Wharton has ever made. Netanyahu, though, went to both MIT and Harvard, so I guess that's where the comparison waned. Anyway, both have mastered the art of saying, "I alone can fix it," while actively making it worse, like a plumber who floods your house and then charges you extra because he knows where the leak is. As reported by the New York Times, Netanyahu was quick to embrace Trump in 2016, calling his election an historic turn, which is diplomatic code for, oh, thank God, another guy who hates being told no and thinks the law is a laughable suggestion. Now, let's talk about the grand bargain. Trump wanted three things: praise, photo ops, and the undying devotion of evangelical voters who believe foreign policy should be based on the Book of Revelation, a text that ends with everyone dead. Netanyahu wanted three things too: unconditional U.S. support, zero consequences, and a friend in the White House who was not afraid to keep writing that check with "don't ask me any questions" energy. This was not a friendship. This was not even an alliance. This was a hostage negotiation where both sides were the hostages and both kept saying, "No, no, no, really, I'm fine. I love being stuffed into your trunk." Enter Jared Kushner. Yes, Jared Kushner, a man who looks like he was hatched in a laboratory, designed to create the most confident person who has never done anything. Trump put his son-in-law, whose primary qualification was marrying Ivanka, in charge of Middle East peace, because nothing says merit-based appointment like confining the surge to the people sitting at your Thanksgiving dinner table. As reported by Vanity Fair and confirmed by multiple former administration officials, career diplomats were just sidelined, which is a bold move when you're trying to solve a conflict that is older than most religions, several empires, and Jared Kushner's entire skill set. The result was the so-called deal of the century, which, and I'm not exaggerating, was basically a real estate pitch, with maps that looked like they were drawn by a toddler who hates Palestinians and just discovered what a crayon is. Now let's talk about Jerusalem. Trump moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem in 2018. As reported by the Associated Press, this broke decades of bipartisan U.S. policy. Why? Because Netanyahu wanted it. And because Trump loves applause, even if it comes from setting an historical powder keg on fire and then clapping for himself. This was not a peace move. This was a campaign rally disguised as diplomacy. Trump said he was taking Jerusalem off the table, which is a strange thing to say about a city that millions of people are very much still standing on and dying on. Netanyahu called this an historical decision. Palestinians called it for what it was, a signal that the U.S. had picked a side and set fire to their side of the map. And then he asked everyone why they were so emotional about it. And then there was the Golan Heights. In 2019, Trump recognized Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights. As reported by Reuters, this was rejected by the United Nations and every previous U.S. administration. So why do it? Because Netanyahu was in the middle of an election, and Trump loves nothing more than helping a fellow leader in legal trouble. It's basically his love language. Trump literally signed the proclamation with Netanyahu standing right beside him, smiling like a man who just found the cheat code for international law and immediately abused it. So let's be clear. This was not about security. This was about politics. And it sent a very clear message to the rest of the world. If you have a friend in the White House, the rules do not apply. Now, that's for October 7th, the Hamas attacks, a massacre, real horror, real victims. And immediately, Netanyahu went into survival mode. As reported by Haaretz and CNN, his government faced massive protests before the attacks over judicial overhauls. These overhauls were designed to curb Supreme Court power, alter judge appointments to favor Netanyahu's coalition, and limit legal advisor authority. His critics warned it would consolidate power into his hands, triggering massive, months-long protests across Israel. After the attacks, the protests stopped. War is very convenient in that way. It's the only thing that can make authoritarian politics look like leadership. Enter Trump again. Trump praised Hezbollah as very smart. Yep, that happened. As reported by Fox News, and yes, even Fox. This statement shocked Republicans, which is like shocking a goldfish by changing the water in his bowl. And yet, Trump still postured as Israel's truest friend. Why? Because Trump doesn't do policy. He does branding. This is a man who thinks foreign policy is just a hat you put on in different countries. Here is the core truth. Trump and Netanyahu use each other. Trump uses Israel as his props department for his tough guy politics. Netanyahu uses Trump as a shield against accountability. As reported by the Washington Post, Netanyahu once campaigned with a photo of Trump by his side, which is basically the political version of saying, "See, look, the cool guy likes me." Please ignore the indictments. And Trump, he still does what he does best, hosting a reality show. But this time, with nukes. So that's all for us today here at Politihoot. Please leave a like or subscribe to the show or leave a comment below. You can also go to our Facebook page at Politihoot and check into Podline FM. You then can record your own voice and leave your own message that we might play on the show. Love to hear what you think.
Politihoot!